Alrighty, and thanks for joining us. Hello and welcome to all you Raiders fans here. Episode 1 of our Raiders weekly podcast. And we've got a very, very special guest. This guy, born February 25th, 1999, from Gormley, Ontario, played 2 seasons with your Nepean Raiders, played 2 seasons with the Stouffville Spirit. I hope I'm saying that right. 49
Close enough.
points in 116 games for the Raiders, 24 points in 69 games. Nice for the Stouffville Spirit. A total beauty on, off, and on the ice. Big country music fan, of course. One of the hardest workers on and off the ice. Committed to the Trine University Thunder, former Raiders captain, Beau Binnie. Beau, thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks for joining me. Jeez, I didn't think I deserved that much of an intro. That was pretty good. No
All
more
right.
stats than I do these days. Christ.
Man, they've got everything now. Elite Prospects is the best.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll jump right into things. Obviously, it's interesting times that we're living in right now, but how's your quarantine been?
You know, it was tough. It was tough to start with. I came back from vacation in Mexico, like when everything went down, and I was stuck in my house for 2 weeks, and I couldn't do a whole lot. But you know what? I kept busy. I have a nice gym at home, luckily, and could get a couple workouts in. Went for a run here and there, just kind of keeping the mind and body active because you can only do so much. Luckily, I got like 11 acres of property, so I could, clear some land. I made a shooting range by the end of it, so I was just running out of stuff to do. But after that, I was able to kind of get out and do everything everyone else was kind of being able to do. So it was kind of nice. But yeah, it was tough. But you know what? We've got through it now. Now I'm up in my cottage, so I can't complain.
Exactly, and I'm sure having it be summertime right now is probably a lot nicer. I think if we were doing this in the winter, probably be a little more difficult. It kind of sucks the season ended how it did, but hopefully we'll get some NHL hockey back up and running soon. But you got anything big planned for the summer?
Well, I really hope there'd be NHL hockey because that'd be sweet sitting by the lake watching that. First time ever, I'd have to say. But summer-wise, I got to be down at Trine University July 19th because I have to go and I got to do a 2-week quarantine down there. So I'm going to get another 2 weeks of jail time, basically. But you know what? Nothing like a couple prison workouts won't help. Little push-ups and some sprints here and there. But no, other than that, I'm trying to get up to my cottage as much as I can, hang by the lake, do some surfing, enjoy the time I have with my family before I'm shipped down to Statesville.
Awesome. And I was going to ask, I'm sure you probably don't know much, but what do you think the start of the season's going to be like?
Honestly, right now, I think it's gonna go as expected. I hope so because the season doesn't start till November. So yeah. I really hope everything will be sorted out by then. Based on looking at the states' numbers right now and the virus kind of stuff, it doesn't look too good.
Yeah.
But they're putting the ice in at the university starting July 4th. So I'm gonna be happy. I'll be able to skate again, which will be great. And I'll be able to do workouts and stuff. I hope it'll start up, but I'm optimistic. I'll say that. I'm very optimistic, but who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting times right now. I know here we're kind of got some bad news yesterday about when the rinks would be open, but hopefully the season won't be push back too far. Hopefully we can get the season in, but let's talk about last 2 seasons. You're with the Nepean Raiders. Last season in particular, you're named as the captain, and top couple seasons for the Nepean Raiders. But how can you personally learn from that and commit that to moving forward and your experiences moving forward?
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work, and you know what? If you wanted to be a leader there, you just had to lead by example. And it's the biggest lesson I could have learned is you got to rely on your other leaders as well to help you out. Because if stuff's not going the right way, then you can't just put it all on yourself to try and do it yourself because it's never going to work that way. You gotta use your coaches. You got to use your other captains and stuff like that. When you're having hard times, you got to lean on them and they got to lean on you and make it through because if you just try and do stuff yourself, everything goes the wrong way. So I'd say the biggest lesson I learned is probably relying on others as much as they rely on me.
Now, do you think with, I don't want to say lack of success, but limited amount of wins in the last couple of seasons, do you think it's made you appreciate winning hockey games a little bit more?
Oh, when we are, if saying it now, but when I win my first game with Trine, and then we keep on rolling after that, it's gonna be pretty sweet. I definitely hate losing more than I love winning now, especially with the all my last year in Stouffville as well wasn't a very successful year either. So you know what, I've had a lot of losing seasons, and I'm ready to have some fun with winning, because you can only have so much fun after the games when you're losing, because by the end of it you're saying, what's the point, when if you get that win, like the most fun I've had is after wins, not after losses. So I definitely, I'm ready to win. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Now trying to kind of spin it in a positive way, do you think you maybe in the last couple of seasons learning how to lose necessarily, or how to lose in kind of a respectful way, you think you can turn that into a positive when you're able to be on a more successful team?
I definitely think so, because I remember my first year in Stouffville when we had a good team, and so sometimes we'd win and I'd be mad after a game because I didn't play well. And now I look back at that and I'm like, you idiot. Like, look at what you did good in that game and take the win as your team win. And now, even in every game I play now, in my head, in the car ride home, I make a little T-chart, pros and cons of what I did well in that game, what I did crappy. And if the pros outweigh the cons, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with my play, but I'm not happy we lost. So it's just, by the end of it, if you keep losing and you just let it drain on you, saying like, oh, like there's nothing I'm doing right, like everything's wrong, you're never going to get out of it. You got to look at your positives and then build off that to make it a positive in the winning aspect.
Now, I want to talk about one game in particular. This is 2 seasons ago. You and I have had conversations about this game.
You're thinking of.
But you guys are in a tough losing streak. Big game out in Cornwall, and you happened to score the overtime winner in Cornwall to snap the losing streak. What was that game like? Because for me, that was probably the most exciting game I've ever called.
You know what, that game, funny part is the next day it was my birthday, so it couldn't have been any more perfect of a day. That game was just a back and forth game where it was one of those games where when we started that first period, everybody had the vibe of like, okay, today's the day. Because we were on like a 23 game losing streak.
Yeah, something like that.
We were all playing. We were like, okay, we can feel this. And we just, if they scored, we scored. We scored, they scored. And we didn't sag our heads. We didn't give up. We were playing for each other that day. And you know what? To bring it to overtime and everybody, and then getting that power play. And honestly, where I scored from, like that, I was on the goal line, and I was like, oh, I'll just throw it on net, hope for a rebound. It goes in. I've never yelled so loud in my life. Like, I was just through the moon. It was a great win, and the Crazy Horse definitely saw us the next night.
If I wasn't yelling so loud in the booth, I probably would have been able to hear you down on the ice. But like I said, probably one of the most exciting games I've had the chance to call. But let's kind of talk about maybe some other big junior hockey moments, because you're moving on now. And just overall, what did junior hockey mean to you?
You know what? It was going through junior hockey. It definitely made me grow up. Like, I'm looking back at when I was in my first year, grade 12. I didn't hang out with the guys much. Like, I was just kind of only hanging out with my school friends. It was one of those things where it was like, yeah, I go to the rink, I play hockey, I go home, and I thought I was a man then. Not even like I was the most naive, dumbest kid ever. Now I look at it and I think I want to say, what I'm thinking now is definitely what my older veterans thought of me when I was a kid. When I go and I look at the young guys on my team, and we say, okay, we're going to have a little team event today. Like, we're going to do this and hang out with the guys. It's something where it's like, my advice for any junior hockey player that's coming into it, if your team wants to do something, go and do it. Because even if you're not, like, if you're not of age to have a drink, because that's what most hangouts are, if you're not of age or anything like that, it's all about the team aspect. And when you're that age of like high school, you see your friends every day, so you don't have the social aspect of saying like, yeah, I'll go and hang out. Like, it'll be a fun time. Because the days where you hang out with everybody, that's when you get your memories and the good stuff. So I don't know if my junior hockey career my last 2 years in Ottawa have been really fun because I've taken every chance I've gotten to make new buddies and hang out with the guys and you know what, string together some relationships that I'm probably never going to break. Like Jake Jurgenite, he's coming up to my cottage right now. So like, he's one of those guys where it was always something like, hey, let's try and do something with the whole team. And you know what, half the guys wouldn't show up and it'd be like the next day, it'd be like, come on, boys, like, we're trying to have a good time here. And it was like, let's all have a team dinner, something like that. Guys would cancel, and it'd be, you know what, you look back on, you got to your social aspect of junior where it's a level of what's the word I'm looking for?
Camaraderie.
Exactly, that's the word. So then yeah, that's probably my biggest life lesson out of junior is never turn down just hanging out with the guys, because you'll never get those moments back.
Do you think teams, I mean, you kind of hear stories of teams all the time, like the Calgary Flames, like the LA Kings, when they were in their cup runs, those guys were going out every night. They're a very tight-knit group. Do you think teams like that are more successful?
I definitely think so. I think there's a fine line, because going out every night, like night before games, no chance. Like,
Right.
I like there's a big difference. But I mean, like, the teams that after a big win and you got the day off tomorrow, everybody makes it out. Everybody goes and does something, even if you're just hanging out for an hour. Like, if you're one of the young guys and you got school the next day, come and hang out for an hour and a half, laugh, have a good time, and then go out, because that's when you make all your funny stories, you make all your memories, and that's where you get nicknames and all that kind of stuff where it sticks. So the teams that hang out and are the tight-knit group are definitely more successful, because you know where to push each other's buttons when you're hanging out all the time. So
Right.
if you're out on the ice and you say something, I don't want to be swearing out here, but you say something like that, then it's going to fire your boys up. Like, if you're sitting on the bench, it's going to fire your buddies up if you're talking about this, and they're going to get going, because you know how to push their buttons, because you hang out with them so much.
Right. Now let's talk about the Nepean Raiders. You had a chance to play with a lot of the young guys, a very young team last year. What do you think is in store for the future of this Raiders team?
I think if a lot of those guys really like, I know there's been a few trades already, but I think if the group that's there stays and they pull up their socks, I think they can have a good hockey team. Like, there is a lot of skill there. There's a lot of young guys there that were a lot better than me when I was their age. And you know what? When they started, they got a lot more opportunities than I got too, because we weren't a very good team. So they were getting a regular shift. My first year Stouffville, I'd see the ice, I don't know, 2 times a period if I was lucky. And so I think they didn't understand that for most of the year, because they were just getting like regular shifts. So I think if they stayed, they developed a ton. By the end of the year, they were looking like real junior hockey players. So by the end of it, if they all stay, the guys that need to stay to get a good core, I think they should have a good team next year. But it's up to them, you know. Like, there's a lot of people that if they have a bad year, they just give up on the team and ship off. Like, it's just it comes down to what they got in their chest, what's in their heart.
Now, kind of speaking on that kind of theme, and unfortunately the Raiders haven't had as good as a reputation as they used to in the past. And you think about some of the championships they had back in 2012. But to you, what does it mean to be a Nepean Raider?
You know what? It takes work is what it is. It takes work and a lot of mental toughness to be a Nepean Raider. In my 2 years there, it had to be you can't do your own thing. You got to listen to what your coach says. And even if it's going the wrong direction, you gotta work hard, and you gotta keep a cool shoulder. Cause if you start ignoring what your coach says and you lose respect for him, then the wheels are going to come off the bus. And I think if you want to be a Nepean Raider, you need to just pull up your socks and listen to exactly what they're telling you, because it's just not going to work if you want to try and do it your own way. So I guess yeah, that's about it.
I won't keep you for too much longer. I'll keep you to a couple more questions. But moving forward, after this summer, moving into Trine University, what are kind of some future goals for you?
I want to. My first goal is to be within like top. I want to be in like third line as a freshman coming in. That's what my number one goal is. And after that, once I that's my Christmas kind of goal. Once I reach there, I want to be, by the end of the year, I want to put up, I think we played 23 games. In those 23 games, I want to put up, I'm not a point a game guy. I know I'm not. I'm a stand in front of the net, tip anything that comes at me kind of guy and hope it goes in. But I want to be around like 13, 14, 15 points. Like if I can make it to there in my freshman year, I'm satisfied, but if I want to get to my top goal, then I want to be 20 points. That'd be awesome. But so that's my reaching goal, but my satisfactory goal would probably be around 15. And then, yeah, by my third year, I want to be a leader on that team, but it can't be something where I just say it. It's got to be something where I got to show what I got and hope for the best.
I do want to quickly talk about the commitment process. How did that all come about? Were you approached, or were there a lot of schools approaching you?
You know what? At the starting showcase, I had a lot of interest, which was kind of nice, because that was the first year, like my 19-year-old year, I didn't have any schools talk to me. Talk to me personally. I had an advisor that talked to a couple, but I got approached by a lot of schools, and then in like December is when I kind of started really narrowing it down and talking to them and saying, okay, what programs do you have? What kind of stuff is the kind of stuff I'm looking for? And I set up two visits with so one with Western New England and one with Trine University. And so the one with Trine University, they didn't approach me at the showcase. I actually contacted my buddy Brett Tierney, former Raider and my roommate last year, and pretty much my best friend. He don't tell Jugs. And then so he talked to the coach, and my agent got in contact with the coach too. So then I sent him some clips, and they said, "Come on down for a visit. We like what we see." So I went for my Western New England visit first, and I was blown away by there. It was really like the education part there was amazing, and they walk you through everywhere. They bring you over to the rink and all this stuff. The rink wasn't on campus, which was kind of upsetting, but it's the way she goes for some places. So that was probably the one downside with Western New England for me. I also had a buddy that goes there and plays on the team, so I kind of had a buddy at both places, which was nice to know. And then visiting over at Trine, second I get there, I meet them at the rink, and I walk into the rink, and this place is brand new, like 3 years old, and just like a $10 million facility. I was just blown away just from walking in the rink where I was about to meet them. I was like, I haven't even really stepped in here yet. And they lead me into the dressing room. I'm like, okay, am I playing D1 hockey here? Like, what's going on? They got like the full triple screen up top where they do video, like massive stalls, all this stuff. I'm like, okay, where do I sign? I haven't even seen the school parts yet. Trade me here right now. Yeah, and then I went and they took us in a golf cart around the school, which was not a big deal or anything. And then wheeled around the school, had a nice lunch there too. So you know what, the visiting process is really fun. It really makes you feel good, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then you sit down and you have the talk with the coach saying like, what are your expectations? What are you kind of looking for? And this is kind of they sell you the school a little bit and all that kind of stuff. And then in the car ride home, I talked to my mom just like about both schools, because we did it in one weekend, kind of both visits.
Okay.
And I said, you know what, I'm going to wait about a day, and I'm going to sleep on it and let it sink in on me and say, okay, which one do I really want to go to? And I was sitting in the hot tub back in Ottawa by myself, and I just sitting there. I'm like, yep, I want to go to Trine. That's the place. That is the place. So that's kind of the process. Kind of goes from showcase to phone calls, then to if you really want to go there, to you go for a visit, then you make your decision. And after you make your decision, you give the coach a call and you say, hey, I want to go here. And they say, that's awesome. I'll talk to you in October. Click.
That's awesome. Easy as it gets.
Yeah.
Last thing for you quickly, mention off the top, big country music fan. I don't know if you're planning or not to go to Boots and Hearts this year, but are you disappointed about that? No, I might cry myself. I was disappointed about that as well.
Yeah, you know what? I was supposed to go to Nashville this year too in June for CMA Fest. My family loves going there. We go there. This would have been our third year going, and when it got canceled, we were pretty heartbroken. But I'm a huge Boots and Hearts fan. Like I missed Morgan Wallen last year for Raiders training camp, and
that's too bad.
I was sitting there getting videos from my friends. I'm like, oh, I wish I was there, and I couldn't even skate at Raiders camp. I had a high ankle sprain, so I'm like, oh, this sucks. So it was just a lose-lose situation last year. But you know what? I'm a huge country music fan, and I love going to Boots and Hearts. It's a heck of a weekend, but you need to go for a run about 3 days in a row after it if you want to feel back in shape again.
Yeah, I think I spent about $100 just on food there too, let alone everything else that I was drinking that weekend.
A couple things that go in here and there.
Anyways, Beau, thank you so much for doing this, man. Really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your summer and next season.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on here, and I love seeing the updates for the Raiders and all that kind of stuff. So keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.